43rd minute, SoFi Stadium, Los Angeles. Richie Laryea drives to the end line inside the South African box. He gets taken down from behind. The entire Canadian bench erupts, open and shut penalty. Then the referee waves play on, and VAR backs him up. Canada versus South Africa. Round of 32. June 28th, Los Angeles. The first knockout game of the entire 2026 World Cup. History on the line for both teams. Neither had ever reached this stage before. Not once. Not in the history of either nation. Canada absorbed the injustice, survived 90 minutes of tension, and then Steven Eustachio settled it in stoppage time with a volley that will live forever in Canadian football history. But the story of this match goes far deeper than one penalty call, because the referee at the center of this controversy has a history with this Canadian team that nobody saw coming. To understand what this match meant, you have to understand what Canada had already been through to get to Los Angeles. Canada are co-hosts of this World Cup. Home tournament, home crowd, home advantage. Except none of that applied. Canada lost to Switzerland in their final group game and were thrown out of their own country. The United States won their group. Mexico won their group. Both stayed home. Canada became the first host nation in the entire history of the World Cup to play a knockout match outside their own borders. Their round of 32 game at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, 700 miles from Vancouver. And they arrived there already broken. Alphonso Davies, captain, best player, the Bayern Munich superstar built to carry this tournament, missed every single group game with a hamstring injury. Ismail Koné suffered a broken leg against Qatar, out for the tournament. Moise Bombito, also returning from a broken leg, making his first start here. Steven Eustachio, who could not start the Switzerland game, returning as captain. This was not a full squad. This was a team held together with tape. And yet, 3 group games that told a complicated story. A 1-1 draw with Bosnia-Herzegovina. Then, a 6-0 demolition of Qatar. Jonathan David hat-trick, the first by a host nation since Jeff Hurst in 1966, the widest winning margin ever by a CONCACAF team at a World Cup, then a 2-1 defeat to Switzerland that sent them to California. Canada came into this match having lost all 6 of their previous World Cup games across 2 tournaments. Their only other win had come 3 weeks earlier against Qatar. South Africa were no accident either. Hugo Bruce, 74 years old, became the oldest manager to win a match at a World Cup when his side beat South Korea to get through. Physical, organized, and full of belief. History was guaranteed before kickoff. One of these teams was reaching the round of 16 for the first time ever. What nobody expected was that the most talked about moment would involve no goals at all. The first half was all Canada. South Africa had possession, 58% by the break, but did almost nothing with it. The crowd booed them twice in the first 30 minutes for passing straight back to the goalkeeper. Their only real chance came in the 5th minute. A Mokoena shot from distance, straight at Crépeau. That was it. Canada were relentless. 8 shots in the first half, 4 on target, an expected goals figure of 1.05 against South Africa's 0.06. And just before halftime, the best chance of the match arrived in a rush. Eustachio whips in a corner. Bombito rises and heads goalward. Modiba clears off the line. The rebound falls to Buchanan, who drives it straight at Williams. South Africa are holding on by their fingernails. Then, out of that same scramble, Richie Laryea drives at pace into the South African box, reaching the end line, preparing to swing in a cross. Kuliso Mudau comes from behind and crunches into the back of Laryea's leg. Minimal contact on the ball. Laryea goes down. He never gets to make his pass. Referee João Pedro Silva Pinheiro waves play on without going to the monitor. Goal kick. VAR reviews the incident. To overturn a decision, VAR needs a clear and obvious error. The referees read that Mudau got a slight touch on the ball, does not meet that threshold. Decision stands. No penalty. The Canadian bench detonates. Players surround Pinheiro from every direction. At halftime, Marsh confronts the referee as the teams walk off the pitch and has to be physically restrained by Bombito. Davies pulls Jonathan David away in the other direction. ITV referee analyst Christina Unkel was direct. In her own personal opinion, it is a foul, and she wants it to be a penalty. The Sporting News was equally blunt. The defender crunched into Lauriea's leg, there was minimal contact on the ball, and it was hard to see why. Here is the detail that makes it worse. If that penalty had been called on the field, it almost certainly would have stood. So, who is João Pedro Silva Pinheiro? And why does his name make Canadian football fans twitch? Portuguese referee, 38 years old, and here is where it starts to get uncomfortable. Before being handed the PSG versus Bayern Champions League semi-final second leg in May 2026, he had made just 15 Champions League appearances in his career. 15. Bayern CEO John Christian Dreesen called it astonishing that a referee with that level of experience was assigned a match of that magnitude. Perhaps, he said, that also explains some of the decisions. Because the decisions were something. Bayern went into that second leg trailing 5-4 from the first leg in Paris. PSG scored inside 3 minutes. Bayern needed goals. Then, in quick succession, 2 calls that left Munich furious. First, PSG's Nuno Mendes, already on a yellow card, handles the ball with his outstretched arm to stop a Bayern attack. Clear on the replays. Pinheiro moves toward his card, then stops. Reverses the call entirely, awarding a free kick to PSG, ruling that Bayern's Konrad Laimer had handled the ball seconds earlier. The replays were inconclusive. Laimer said he did not touch it with his hand. His teammates agreed. Vincent Kompany said it plainly afterward. He thought Pinheiro was going to show Mendes a second yellow, then pulled out because he had already booked him and did not want to send him off for it. The assessment? The referee lacked the nerve to make the big call. Bayern were eliminated. PSG went through. And now, the detail that connects everything. Alphonso Davies came on as a substitute in that same match. He picked up a hamstring injury while playing in it. That injury cost him the entire group stage of Canada's World Cup. The same referee who froze on the biggest call of a Champions League semi-final also presided over the game in which Canada's captain was broken. And now here he is in Los Angeles. Same man. First World Cup knockout match of his career. And once again, in the moment that mattered, the big call did not go Canada's way. Canada walked back out for the second half carrying the weight of a no call, a scoreline that read 0-0, and a first half that had statistically belonged entirely to them. South Africa's expected goals for 45 minutes, 0.06. They had one shot that troubled Crépeau. One. And yet, here they were, still alive, still in it, protected by a decision that went their way when it never should have. The second half ground on. Canada kept creating, kept knocking. Conversion had been the problem all tournament, 14% in the group stage, ranked 17th of all teams at the World Cup, and the pattern was holding. Williams kept saving. Mbakazi kept clearing. The clock kept moving. South Africa were just trying to hang on. And then the moment the whole stadium had been waiting for. 75th minute. Alphonso Davies comes on for Tyjon Buchanan, his first minutes of the entire 2026 World Cup. SoFi Stadium does not just cheer, it shakes. Fan festivals in Vancouver erupt. Fan festivals in Toronto erupt. Thousands of Canadians who have been holding their breath suddenly have their captain on the pitch. He is immediate. 2 South African defenders track him within seconds. The space that opens up feeds Eustáquio. Davies threads a ball to Jonathan David, who sets up a chance that goes narrowly wide. He has been on the pitch for minutes, and already the entire shape of South Africa's defensive block has shifted. 90 minutes, then stoppage time. Jacob Schaffelberg's cross is headed away by a South African defender. The clearance drops straight to Eustáquio at the edge of the box. He controls it. Right-footed volley. Bottom corner. Ronwen Williams does not move. Think about that. Eustáquio plays professionally for Los Angeles FC, a few miles from SoFi Stadium. He scored a World Cup winner in his own backyard, his first Canada goal since 2023. Marsh on the pitch at full time. His words to the players, "You guys are Canadian heroes here. Canadian heroes for the future children of this country who play this sport." He was not wrong. So step back and look at the full picture. A team that lost their captain to injury in a match refereed by the same man who denied them a penalty in a World Cup knockout game. They absorbed it. They waited. And then Eustáquio put it in the bottom corner anyway. But the question does not go away. Was it a penalty? If that call is made correctly in the 43rd minute, this match looks completely different. A lead before halftime. A different second half entirely. They won anyway. Now, they go to Houston on July 4th. Netherlands or Morocco, waiting. The Dutch beat this Canadian squad 4-0 in Jesse Marsch's first game in charge. Morocco reached the semifinals in 2022. Marsch called it a free hit at a giant. Drop your verdict below. Subscribe. And stay close because Canada's story at this World Cup is only getting started.